For more on this, let's bring in Greg Beroza, a professor of geophysics at Stanford University. Really appreciate you joining us on the show today. Of course, we all remember the Great East Japan earthquake, a mega disaster that marked Japan and the world with its unprecedented scale of destruction. It seems this event, in terms of damage, it doesn't seem to be nearly as bad. But can you just compare and talk about the factors outside of just the size of the quake itself and how it's impacted Japan, and whether location-wise it's led to less damage for the reason of where it's located?
Yes, of course. So thanks for the opportunity. So this earthquake occurred off the west coast of Japan. So unlike the 2011 earthquake, it was not on the plate boundary, but it was in the crust above the plate boundary. So this earthquake, a magnitude 7.5, is much, much smaller than a magnitude 9.1 because the magnitude scale is logarithmic. So the scale of strong shaking, the amount of deformation was large in this earthquake, but much lower than in 2011. So all of those factors conspire to make the impact less, as bad as it is, to be less and to be more localized.
And of course, nearly 15 years on, Japan has learnt to adapt in new ways. What has Japan, and also the field of seismology, learnt from the catastrophic event, and what did it mean for Japan's preparedness for this earthquake?
Yeah, so the 2011 earthquake was not, the size of that earthquake was not anticipated. We didn't appreciate that Japan could have earthquakes quite so large. In contrast, this earthquake in the Japan Sea on the western coast, there have been earthquakes of similar size on that fault system in the past. So it's not unexpected. What we continue to learn from these earthquakes is just how strong and how variable the shaking can be in them, and that is sort of the critical information that earthquake engineers need to use to build resilient structures. And about Japan, all of Japan is in some sense earthquake threatened, and so all of Japan works hard to prepare for earthquakes.
Yeah, Japan is one of the most seismically active nations on Earth, from what I know. How do people like yourself study regions like the Pacific Ring of Fire in order to help nations better prepare for this sort of situation?
That's a really great question. So Japan is very active, and unlike many other active areas, they have just fantastic earthquake monitoring instrumentation. So their monitoring networks are, arguably the best in the world. So we can get deep information about earthquake processes in Japan and sort of export that understanding to other parts of the world that are less well monitored. So I and many others do that sort of thing.
And of course, the constant threat of earthquakes has led Japan to develop one of the world's most sophisticated tsunami warning systems. How does this system detect the threat of an earthquake and potentially a tsunami, and then how efficient is it?
Right. So the tsunamis travel very fast. So you have to respond very quickly. They have to be automated systems, and those are in place. They're based on seismic waves, which are faster yet. And so the sensors, mostly on land, detect that a big earthquake has happened. When it's the kind of earthquake that will impose vertical motion, deformation on the ocean floor, those are the ones that are most dangerous for tsunamis. This earthquake was of that type, but the deformation was not nearly so large as in 2011, so the tsunami was correspondingly smaller. But it's basically seismic waves, so seismology, figuring out that the earthquake has happened, what kind it is, where it is, and then, there can still be surprises, but we have a pretty good idea of the tsunami potential.
Greg Beroza, Professor of Geophysics at Stanford University, thank you for your time.
Thank you.